Today, I would like to show you some of my thoughts about interest. They also came up with some interest model that can be very interesting if combined with different techniques of machine learning, generative AI, and some simple math. And I will show you my presentation.
Hey,
Hello,
Victoria.
Victoria.
Hi guys,
How are you? Nice to see you.
nice to see you too.
Okay, today we'll be talking about the interests that we would like to calculate inside Tracardi, and basically this is a general model,
Mm-hmm.
and like to show you how we see this. So basically, in Tracardi we have this built-in events that can collect interest from the web page or a mobile app. I was thinking how actually the interests work and what it really means to have an interest in Tracardi. So I created a process where we have a customer, and that customer interacts with our page, and that's represented in Tracardi as some events. And those events usually increase some interest. So we can define any interest you would like. It could be like reading, movies, sports, etc. And then that's represented as some vector of values, and that corresponds with some of our goals. Actually, when we create some content or put anything in the web, we have some goal behind this. So that goal can be just sell. Some would like some, I don't know, subscriptions. Some would like to build communities. Others would like to sell advertisements. So there is always a goal behind what we do in the internet. So I was thinking I would need to divide this into three parts. This is the customer part, the Tracardi part, how Tracardi represents the interest, and there is a goal. I will not talk much about the goal in this presentation. I will more concentrate on these two parts and say how we could use some machine learning and some simple math to generate interest. And on top of this, we could do like another presentation and say how we can correlate the interest with the goal. So I had like a few questions when I started thinking about interests. The one was, what is an interest? And is the interest really valuable for us, and how we can say that the person is interested in something? What's actually the intent behind the interest? What actually is an intent? And what is the dynamic nature of all the interest, and how we can classify the interest? So from my point of view, an interest has like two definitions. One is it like a very general definition that's we have this curiosity about something, okay, it's some attention towards something, which makes it seem that important and one worth considering. So I don't know, I'm interested in marketing, so okay, this is my general interest, and I'm just seeking an information, for example, about the marketing. And the other thing is like a personal context where there's some passion, like hobby, something that will engage me through the very long time. Okay, so I could be interested in marketing for a very short time, but my biggest interest would be like, I don't know, economics or something like that. Is actually an interest valuable from the marketing point of view? Yes, because behind the interest there is a need, and the needs are fundamental requirements or desires of a motivated individual. So okay, if there's an interest, then there is an action. The need provides this basic motivation for us to act, and interest is this additional layer of engagement.
Risto,
Yes.
can I like just add, because interest can be the basement of the personalization, because this is something that is literally marketing community driven factor. As better you segment, as better you personalize, as better return on investment you get. So maybe that's the core thing.
Yes, actually, but when we look at like in a bigger perspective, interest is something that we will use for our goal. Okay, so if we know the need and we know the goal to sell, then we know what to sell. Okay, and this is in between. You're completely right. There is this personalization, segmentation, etc. Okay, so in the longer term, we need a need or intent, because when you think about the interest, okay, I'm interested in, for example, in football. Okay, but what is the intent behind this? Okay, can I sell you some t-shirts? Or maybe you are only interested because your kid is going to I don't know, to some football match, okay? Or maybe you are interested in football because you actually come from a different culture and you don't know what is football. And this is how marketers usually think about interests. They think, okay, somebody visited my page and that person is very interested in that content that inside this page. But this is not the intent. They're really interested, but they tend to be completely different. So that's why sometimes we just mixed it up and then we don't get the results we would like to have. And I will show you how I would like to present a model that from the interest we go to into intent, and then how we model the interest so we finally go to our goal. And this is, you are completely right, inside we have the segmentation, etc. From my point of view, the interest is very valuable, but we really need to understand the need and the intent behind that interest. What is the intent behind the interest? How do we know if there is a need behind this interest? Well, actually, we don't know, because if somebody visits your page and you think, okay, my content is about something, okay, that can be even a product or whatever, it doesn't mean that somebody wants to buy it. I was recently, browsing some eBay pages for finding out only the price about, some product. My intent was not to buy. We don't know the intent behind the interest, and most marketers assume that there is intent when somebody visits, for example, a product page. No, there isn't. From my point of view, there isn't, and our goal is to find that intent. And I think that one of the best ways, and actually in Tracardi is very easy to do that, is just to ask your customer. Okay, so you presenting some page, and you can ask them, oh, hello, I see that you are interested in, I don't know, something. Are you really willing, I don't know, to buy, or are you a professional in that scope? So we somehow need to find more data that will tell us if this person is just visiting that's because they're browsing, or they're just really interested in some topic. This brings us to some definition if the interest is temporal or this is like more long-lasting interest. So, for example, right now we have page views, and we can say, okay, this page view has this content. This content is about something. Then we say, okay, this person is interested in this area. And then I say, okay, let's catch more signals like content view, what actually the person saw on the page, because maybe the person just scrolled down very quickly and actually was not reading the content. So we would have like more events saying, okay, content browsing versus content reading, how the content is engaging, so how much time the person spent on the page, was the content viewed. So we need more information. Why we need more information? Because most of our customers will spend probably, I don't know, 1-2 minutes on our page and will go. If they go, we actually do not have, we have only one option to engage them. Because we don't have any email, telephone, anything. We cannot engage with them, directly. We can indirectly engage with them through the Google Ads, and this is it. Actually, you can just get all the interests, all the signals from your page, what the person saw, and then when they are gone, you can only engage through the Google Ads.
Sorry, yeah, but just like if I think about it, what you're trying to solve, you're trying to find the points of stickiness, like how to make them stick to your either contact. So basically to find what is actually behind, like this intent, like what exactly
Yes.
the person is looking for. So we want to find the stickiness, like for us, for example, is it SMS or WhatsApp? Is it chatbot?
Mm-hmm.
For you, it's like, are they looking for segmentation, or are they looking for some other capabilities,
Right.
AI? So I think this is something, right? What you are trying to achieve.
Yes. I would like to have as much information to know about that person, that customer, because if they are gone, in the first, I said 2-3 minutes, I have to collect as much information as possible. And I don't even, actually in Tracardi, we have events, and events have tags, and not every event is equal, okay? Because Page view and something like content view, content engagement, content browsing are more like signals than not always like a behavioral. Actually, page view is a behavioral event, but not all the events are equally up. I mean, the like behavioral events, and there are some signals, some system events. For example, somebody visited you for the first time. This is not a behavioral event. This is like a signal, okay, a system event. Somebody left your page. This is not a behavioral event. It's more like a technical event. So we divide different events, and we will use that events for different purposes. And what is the nature of interest? Actually, the interests are very dynamic. So I'm thinking about like how people view interest. Okay, we have different types of interest. Okay, the hobbies that are long lasting, and there are very temporal ideas that I'm looking for. For example, I never heard about CDP. Okay, so I just went to some page, read about CDP. Okay, and that's enough. My interest is gone. The interests are very temporal, and what is important in capturing the interest is that time plays very important role in the interest. When you collect some interest in CDP, the person just visits you a year after, it does not mean it has the same interest. And then the last thing is, how do we classify the interest? Because this is also very important. Interests are some form of taxonomies, and the taxonomy is the system how you organize and classify things into groups. Okay, and you can say that there are like more general interests, and you can say under that general interest we have some sub-interest, and this is very much connected with the content that you have on your page. Okay, so if you have a content about sports, you can say that, okay, we have like general interest in sport, beneath is football, basketball, etc. And beneath is football will be like world championships or some specific team. So we can just create this hierarchy. But to build this, we can use generative AI. You can just get all your content that you have on your page, create this taxonomy, put it through some ChatGPT and prepare a prompt, and then each page will be classified within this taxonomy, and we will use that to collect interest about the customer. And now we can think how we can represent the interests. In Tracardi, we have this insert interest event that will add some number to some interests. For example, we collect interest. We say some person was visited one page, and that page has some content about reading, so we increase the reading to 1. And again, then there's another page. Somebody visited that page, and there was this link about buying a ticket. So we actually increased the movies by 1, and then by 10 because somebody bought a ticket. And then we have this vector. Okay, and this is how we currently represent interest in Tracardi. So every person that goes through the web page can build this vector of interests. Our main goal in building this interest is to compare them. And here we can have like a representation of different interests on different levels. So this one would be very generic interest. This would be like sub interest, and then again sub interest. Okay, and how you measure intents? Well, as I said, to measure an intent, we need to correlate. We need to find how the interest repeat. Okay, if the interest repeat, then we again can build a vector of interest, and in that vector we can have how many times some interest just repeated. How do we compare interest? This is very important, that we need this vector. The vector needs to be somehow normalized. For example, all the values in the vector must sum up to 1, and we need mathematical formula to do this. This vector will represent some interest. Okay, and how we group interest? If we have a normalized interest in a vector, there are mathematical formulas that can group the similar interests of customers. Okay, so quickly, how we do it in Tracardi right now. So these are events. Okay, and we add increase event reading, then we have reading, movies, then we have like this vector, then we add again movies plus 10 because somebody bought a ticket, and there's like a long time that nobody visited our page, and then we add sports plus 5. Okay, and look at this vector. It seems that this person is interested in movies, but actually, well, after a year, I would doubt that actually this person is interested in movies. I would say this person is interested in sports right now. This is the different scenario where we use this decay factor. Decay factor defines how each interest goes down over time. Okay, so here's the reading. Somebody is interested in reading. Then we add +1 after a short time, +1 to movies, and we can see that the reading goes down. The same goes for the movies. The movies we added 10, but the time has passed, so this one just went down. And at the end, after a year, somebody is interested in sports, and you can see that all the interests that we had in the system just went down. Now we have that predominant, and the top interest is sports.
Just a
And
quick question.
yes.
Just a quick question. So as they decay and they become zero, will the interest remain in the profile?
Yes, it will remain in profile as reading, that somebody was interested in reading some time ago, okay, but now it's not interested. Or we can also create, because it opens a lot of use cases. We can even have like a time machine, okay? You can just go back and you can see how the interest of reading goes up, because that person like a year ago was interested in reading, and then it goes down when you go towards now, okay? Yes, you have an information that that person was interested in reading, but because we noticed that time plays a crucial role in interests, then we don't have this value of reading like very high.
I'm sorry. One more
Yes,
question.
sure.
Can you actually, is it like from 0 to let's say plus, and it will fluctuate on this part between 0 and positive numbers? Or we can actually see that the person like literally going into negative, like completely not interested, like all the interests are all about movies, sports, and anything, but like no reading at all. So we can consider that
Yeah.
it's actually going into. I just don't
Yes.
know how you framed it. Yeah.
Okay. There's actually there's no training right now. We only add values. Okay. So you can also add value here like -5. Okay, and then it can go to the negative values as well. So it's up to you how you, because first thing what we discussed just a minute ago, how we see the interests. Okay, what are the interests? That interest needs to be put on the pages. So when somebody visits the page, you have this events +1 or -1 +10. Okay, and it's related to the content, and then you can increase or decrease the interest. Okay, and you can go up and down. But what I actually did here, I just added this decay factor that says, and actually the decay factor can be different for each interest. Okay, because when we talked about interest, I said that some interests are very long lasting and the other interests are not, then we could put different decay on each interest. So for example, if the reading is like a hobby, then this decay can be very slow, and actually we could see like some value in reading after a year. But if the decay is very quick, then it can just go to 0 very quickly. But I think the next slide is more interesting, because even if we added this decay, actually we cannot still compare those vectors. And so we know anything about the customer, but at some point we will have to do something like an if function. Okay, if the interest of movies is bigger than something, then do something. If this value can come up from 0 to 1000, what value should we put in that if? Should be 1, 10, 100? We don't know. Okay, so those vectors are useless actually at this point. They have some properties, very nice properties, but they are useless. So we need to normalize them, and this is how we do it. So we have the same stream. Okay, the stream has this decay and the values are going down, but we put normalization. This is a normalization function. The different normalization functions. You can just take the biggest value and divide all the values by the biggest values. But I'm using something called softmax. Softmax always sums up to 1, but it always gives the biggest value to the top interest. And now we can compare it. If we say, okay, if the interest is bigger than 0.5, 50%, then this person is really interested in that thing. So once normalized vectors are stored in Tracardi, it opens a lot of more interesting features, because now the vector is placed into some feature space. feature space is like putting a profile in some chart. Okay, I will show it in a second how it works. And then we can use something called Euclidean distance and cosine similarity to find segments. Because right now, when we have those vectors, we put it on this plane, okay, on this chart. And if the vectors are similar, it means, okay, on the first position there is some value, and on the second position there is some value, and there's other person that also has this value, and they are very close to each other. They form groups, and those are our segments. And because we know what's on each position in here, so in this position would be like reading, movies, and sports. Okay, I could say, please find me all the customers that are interested in sports more than 50% and interested in movies more than, I don't know, 30%. Okay, and this will create this group, and this is very easily done. There's like a few lines of code in Python. And you can also use some other techniques, clustering techniques. You can say we have on this plane different customers, and use, it's called k-means clustering, and say, okay, find me 3 distinct segments that I would like to use later in some activations, for example. And it will group the customers like this, and you will have like 3 distant groups that have very similar interests. Okay, and this is basically it, how you can use interest to build segments. And then we can talk about the way you can use this information, these vectors, to correlate with the goals. Because then you can set a goal, if you have like a lot of data, with the interest vectors, and the goal which would be like sell or I don't know, subscribe, etc. So you can use this information to correlate with your goal. And this is very, very interesting approach.
I think it's actually super great. Honestly speaking, if you can share this presentation, guys, I will share it with our team, because, you know, we're in releasing phase, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it will be a very good overview, and also for team like to explore this this approach, so they can give you also feedback. I think it will be great, honestly speaking, because it's definitely something that, you know, it should be actionable, right? I mean, what's the point to collect data, pay for it, and not to use it? I mean,
yes.
So yeah, thank you, Rist. Honestly, it was. I'm happy I saw your actually, I think, Colin's invite on LinkedIn. This is how I joined.
Yeah, we do it actually every two weeks, so we have some topics always.
Okay.
We'll
But this
definitely
one was very interesting because
I will
we
definitely
discussed it a bit. Sorry.
definitely get the recording of this one, and we must connect on LinkedIn as well. We're not yet, but I'll definitely reach out. Hey, I had some questions, and I sort of kept them all until the end. They're all on sticky notes, like always. Configuring the decay on each interest, how's that done? Is that done as an environment variable, or is it done on a UI? Or
Yeah, currently it's an environment variable, but also in automation. I don't know if I presented this interest scoring, where you just put your regular interest vector as you usually collect it, and then it will just return you the vector that is with certain decay and also normalized. Okay. And then you just save it.
Which version are we looking at? Is that 9.1.2?
I have to just look it up. I don't know if this is in the currently released version or the new one that I'm releasing, but actually I'm thinking about creating a separate service for this, because this way we could just have like all the history about the interest changes. Okay, not only the last change but also the whole history.
That makes a lot of sense, having a separate service for it.
Yeah.
You mentioned GenI used for finding the taxonomy. We didn't sort of walk through how that might be done. I can guess how it's done. Is there a plugin or an activity for an automation for that? Or
actually, right now it isn't. It isn't, because there are like 2 approaches. You can just do it manually by yourself, saying, okay, this content, I think this content is about this, and I have this taxonomy, this tree of interest, and saying, okay, this is mainly sports, football, and this is this event like I don't know, World Cup. Okay, this is what we are talking about, and we could put in interest specific teams. Okay, some team from Australia.
I've been doing that. I've been doing that manually. So what I'll do on the screen is just share a prompt that I've used manually for that. With
But you can also
ChatGPT.
use ChatGPT. Yes, you can use the ChatGPT and say, okay, let's go through this content. I have this taxonomy. Tell me what is this content actually about, and ChatGPT would do that. Also, very interesting for me was this concept that I was thinking about it yesterday, because we have this decay, okay, and we know that decay is very personal, okay. It's not that decay for sports is always the same. So when we have like person that comes for the first time, we can say, okay, all the interests are very temporal. Okay, we actually do not know anything about this person. So we set the decay to be quite quick. Okay, like 2 weeks. Okay, within 2 weeks that interest will go to zero. But then you can think, okay, that person visited us another time, and then we say, and again see something about sports. Okay, that says that probably this person is more interested in sport than I thought. So the decay is slower, and all the interest goes slower for that person, and that will make this stickiness. Okay, that Victoria said. Now we know that this person sticks to that interest, okay, and then we will keep that information for longer. So this is another thing, another optimization to this method.
Configuration of the distance cosine similarity. How's that done?
Actually, right now the best way to do it is to use some vector database. Tracardi has integrated VV8, but there are a lot of vector databases that use just plain API. I would do it. I would just make an API call to the vector database, store that vector with some additional information about the profile, and then you can query that database, and you can query it whatever you want. You can say, okay, give me this segment, okay, segment of people interested in sports, or people interested in sports in particular team, okay, and you will get all that from the database. So you don't have to do it manually, and the distance is within the query that you define in a database.
I think they're all my questions. So it feels like we've got a few questions that are sort of rising out of that, how to do some things, and some links that we'll need to share. I guess we'll just share them in the notes with the video.
I would like to, maybe I have the video that shows how actually the vectors and the segments work. I showed the vector with 3 values, and that says that we store only 3 interests, but you can have like hundreds of interests, okay? And we actually cannot see when you build that kind of interest, you actually do not see how they group, because people cannot see that in like multi-dimensionality, 100 dimensions. And there's one video that actually shows that, and I will try to share it. And okay, so somebody just did actually the same thing, but for pictures, and put them into vectors, and then it started to reduce the dimensionality, and you can see it formed those clusters. Okay, and this will happen with the interest as well. And this is how it actually works. Okay, and all the similar, you can see the similar things in the groups.
It's a representation of it. Maybe if we let's pop in the links to with the video, just some places that we can go to do further research. Hey, there was something else that sort of bubbled up, and that's what you mentioned on that first visit, that prompting a person. It reminds me today I booked to go to a conference, and they got my phone number, and an hour later I got a phone call saying, why are you going? It was a bit of a binary question. You going to network or you want to look at products? And I said, I'm definitely there to network, and have a great day networking at our event. We'll see you later. I'm sure it would have been a different outcome if it was about products. And it feels like it was just like that prompt you're talking about. They didn't know me, and it was like that first visit. So prompting the person visiting, there's videos on putting pop-ups and stuff, so we should put a link to that into the notes as well, because Tracardi can do that. And just for people that don't know, just put a link in there for asking those sort of questions. Cool.
Yes, and why I mentioned prompting, because most marketers just, I don't know, are afraid to ask people what they actually want. Okay, they just, okay, I just visited the page, and I'm just interested in I don't know, my son's event. okay? And I'm looking for, I don't know, some sports shoes, okay? And just asking me what I'm looking for or what I'm interested in. And this, see, this is a great opportunity for generative AI, because you can say what you are looking for. I see you are interested in some Adidas sneakers, okay? Tell me, are you interested in Adidas sneakers for children or for yourself? Are you interested in sports, etc.? Okay, that gives you the intent. This is the most valuable information that we actually need. We should then, because the presentation showed how to do the interest vector, but we should the same vector for intent, and then that would just greatly correlate with our goal. Okay, interest
I,
is just the first thing.
I was going to say, maybe the reason that's not done is it's not easy. What we're talking about is a way of doing that intelligently.
Well, it was not easy, but right now with ChatGPT, somebody can write, "I'm looking for the sports shoes for my kid," and then it just goes to ChatGPT through your intent taxonomy, and then you get this, and this, and then you have a vector, and that's just behaves the same way as interest. I'm definitely will give a try to create a service for that, and maybe I will even look for companies to do some POC with that, because I greatly believe that this can be very, very interesting and can yield very interesting results.
Count on us, okay?
Sure, sure. When I have it done, I'll just let you know. Sure. This is how I see it.
Yeah.
I think it can be a game changer for Tracardi, to be honest.
Yeah, that's additional services. Yes, because how I think about CDPs are just tools, okay, and that tool must deliver the value, and that value is usually, this is like a first step. Okay, you've got data. When I started Tracardi, before I was doing machine learning, and the reason I started Tracardi is I don't have data to do the things I want. So now that I have Tracardi, you can do things that really, really are interesting.
Great stuff. Thank you, guys.